right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:20. Oh, I'm sorry. Mia, are you good?
Ready.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So I'm calling this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. Good to see you all in person. So moving on to agenda item number 2, a review of the minutes and financials. We'll start with the minutes. So the minutes have been distributed and read. Thank you, Nia, for taking the minutes last month. Are there any noted corrections to the August meeting minutes? All right, great. So I'm going to go ahead and motion to... Sorry. I motion to approve the minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, great. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Wonderful. The minutes are approved. Holly, can you please take us through the financials?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Okay, so the last time we talked, we had $141,017 left for our 2 remaining grant cycles, the operations cycle, and the not emerging artist anymore, artistic advancement.
Mm-hmm.
And at the last meeting, you all approved the operations allocations. Thank you so much for that. And so I haven't added those numbers to the spreadsheet yet because those funds have not been dispersed yet because we're waiting for legal to do the contracts. Legal. We awarded a total of $38,876 in operations grants. Most of those funds will come out of the BUEA's allotment. I think about $27,000 will come out of that. I think we'll be good there. And then the rest will come out of the BAC allotment, and that will leave us with roughly $50,000 for our artistic advancement cycle, which is what we planned on. So we're good there. And then last night, looking at our other funds, we had our first professional development workshop at the Waldron Art Center. Thanks so much to Christina and Chaz for knocking it out of the park. Thank you to Suzanne for being a panelist. It was amazing. If you all remember the artist forum we did back in May at the Fire Bay Theater at the Waldron, I feel like the thing that came out of that was everybody was like, we want more of that. We want more of that kind of conversation that really engages with what artist needs truly are in this community, and I feel like we delivered that last night. And so I'm eternally grateful to Christina and Chaz for making that happen. They did it all. I just showed up, so thank you. As part of that, we had, I think, 6 panelists, including Suzanne, who spoke, and so we gave them all an honorarium, which means we finally spent some of our Emerging Artist Professional Development Fund. We spent a total of $1,500 in honorariums. We're planning to have 1 to 2 more workshops this year to further spend down that money. I think we're working on, I don't want to steal Chaz or Christina's thunder, but I think the next one will be focused on budget, and the next will be focused on DEAI. We're definitely going to hope to get the budget one knocked out this year, and then I think we're just going to make sure we're feeling good about our capacity, whether or not we do that 3rd one. But I'm sure they will all be as amazing as last night's was when they happen. So thanks again, Christina. And then we'll be working with Natalie in the coming weeks, and also speaking with the Public Art Subcommittee at our September meeting to talk about getting those public art grants out the door before the end of the year. That's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you just clarify, the reason we need to spend it down is so that we can get more, right? If we don't spend it, we lose it?
What we do or don't do before the end of the year will not impact council's decision to give us the same amount of money next year. If we find ourselves in a position at the end of the year where we're not going to spend all this money, we have a few options. Mm-hmm. First of all, we could choose to reallocate it for something else. Another option would be to say, hey, we know we want to work with these artists at the beginning of next year to do these to do these workshops, what we can do is we can either have I think we can encumber the funds so they're available for next year, and that's just a negotiation with whoever we would be paying to do those things, and our controller's office, basically, they just need an invoice to mark these unspent funds to carry over into next year, so we can spend them.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so I think, I feel like we're really spending this budget this year, like our overall budget, not just what you see here, but all the lines for the arts budget. So I think when we get a little deeper into the fourth quarter of the year, we'll be having some conversations about how we might spend this money if there's any left over. So, yeah.
Can I ask, last night, how many people attended the panel?
It was a full house, so 30.
30?
Mhm.
Okay, and you capped it at 30, right?
Yeah, we kept it at 30.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Mhm.
Did you feel like there was more, did more people want to come? Did you feel like you turned away a lot of people, or? I'm just
Well, we
curious.
had a couple people on the wait list.
Mhm. So I wondered about.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I think we had like 4 people or so on the wait list.
Okay.
And so we still just kind of opened it up because some people kind of like, at the last minute, they're like, I realized they couldn't make it. So.
Oh yeah. Right.
But yeah, so it turned out,
Just about right.
Just about right.
Good.
I think the word of mouth is gonna be really positive, so,
Mhm.
so people will tell their friends and then they'll want to come,
Yeah.
I think.
Mhm.
Excellent, great. Any other questions on the financials? Wonderful. For agenda item number 3, gonna throw it back to you, Holly, for the staff update.
Okay. I've got a few things. The most exciting one, which I've accidentally told Gerard about twice. You know how, well, for some of you, we've been talking for years about finding someone to help us upgrade our public art database. We found somebody. So I just, earlier today, I had a phone call with an O'Neill practicum student who's going to do this work for us as her practicum. So this is going to be a multiple step project. So we have a spreadsheet of hopefully every piece of public art that is under the city's purview since the late 1980s through about 2016 when people stopped making updates to this spreadsheet. So we are going to work with our IT department and the GIS folks in their department to turn the spreadsheet into a publicly accessible database so anybody can look up information about pieces of public art. And we're also going to connect that database with a map that GIS is going to help us create that has every piece of public art on it. So those are the first couple of steps. And I think because this list is so big and unwieldy, we're going to kind of just do that transfer of data into the database and the map kind of piecemeal, because if we try to do it all at once, we'll collapse on ourselves. So, but then what we're going to do also is, as we're kind of going through this, I'm thinking like 10 pieces of public art at a time. We're going to create QR codes for all of these pieces of art so folks can do self-guided tours of them. And I have bigger visions of, I would love to also in the future do like in-person tours of public art. We did this for Exhibit Columbus Bloomington Day in May of 2023. It was incredibly successful. People really enjoyed it. And it's really great because we can start at the farmer's market on a Saturday and just have a great hour-long walk around town with folks who are interested. So I'm hoping in the future we can get there, but I think first we just need to build the structure to house what we want to do. Another thing that we're going to want to use this for is to learn where public art is not in the community. Yep. And we're going to use that to kind of inform where we might propose future public art projects around the city. Mm-hmm. I think knowing kind of where the Indiana Arts Commission is going and like where cultural districts like us should be focusing our attention, they're thinking more of like a creative community plan to make sure that we're not focusing all of our public art in one downtown district, but making sure that it's equitably distributed around town. And I think this is a thing that many other colleagues in my department are focused on as well. I think we're going to learn that where there is not public art is also the places that don't have bus stop shelters. So it's the places that have just been, historically overlooked when it comes to funding. So really interested to see how that evolves. So I'm just really glad that we have this person to help us take this first step. And eventually we'll bring her to a BAC meeting and you'll be able to meet her.
Great.
I also wanted to share, so Jane Cooper-Smith, the Director of Economic and Sustainable Development, gave our budget presentation a couple of weeks ago, and this was just an overview for council of what we do and the things that were most important, that we feel are most important to be funded. This includes a $25K bump in how much money we have to spend on Bloomington Arts Commission projects, grants, public art, things like that. So we'll see how that flies. It's a new council, and we'll see. Not sure how it's going to land yet, but I'm feeling good about it.
Go for 50.
Yeah. And then, but what was most interesting about this is, like, historically, when we do these presentations, we're not just talking about arts in our department. We're talking about sustainability. We're talking about small business. We're talking about food security. Nobody asks questions about arts. Arts just flies under the radar, and I'm like. But today, when we did this, one of the new council members, Courtney Daly, was like, arts is really important. And she just said some things that said to me, we've got an ally here. And so I actually met with her yesterday just to actually share with her what we do, and she's really excited. So we're going to sign her up for the newsletter, try to get her involved in some public events. Hopefully, eventually, we can get her to come to an arts commission meeting. So, it was just really heartening to hear somebody say out loud, "This is going to be my cause as a council member."
She's been on a theater board.
Yeah, she was on BPP, and
her husband,
he ran the
theater
the Waldron.
department
And
for
he
IB
was the operations manager for the Waldron under IB Tech. So he was a lifesaver when the city took that building back. He taught me how to unlock and lock the front doors. So that's really great. A couple more things. Thanks for bearing with me. You might have heard in the news, and I think we mentioned this in the midpoint email. So the folks who oversee the Trades District and the City of Bloomington and IU got a joint grant for $16 million. And this money is overall for development in the Trades District. So it will mean that we'll be able to pay for the tech center that is being built, thanks to Chaz, who was the project manager on getting that thing in the ground and built up. Thanks, Chaz. But it will also just give the Trades District more dollars to be able to sell plots of land to other developers, which we hope will increase jobs and more people and bolster our economic vitality overall. This is a grant from the Lilly Foundation, and Lilly was like, you cannot do this without incorporating art. So the city and Indiana University will be partnering to put up to 6 pieces of public art in that district. The way this is going to look is still very nebulous. There's a lot to be figured out here. I think a lot of players at the table are new to public art. I think you all know from just trying to figure out where the heck to put OT 987. It's that we got to be really careful about what's underground. We have to be really mindful of what's being built by the other developers. So it's going to take some time. But overall, I'm excited. And once we have a clearer vision of where we're going, I will bring you all in to this. Another thing I'm going to bring you all into soon is the convention center. So the convention center expansion is moving forward. They've chosen the footprint. There are 3 folks who have proposed hotels, so they'll be choosing one of those proposals to put a hotel somewhere in the area where the convention center is. The convention center will have a 1% for the arts budget of $500,000.
Wonderful.
I feel like I always want more, but I think that's a lot more than we've ever gotten for 1%. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk a little bit about this in the Public Arts Subcommittee meeting at the end of this month. Just I'm going to share with you some things I've heard from the subcommittee that I'm on that's talking about how we're connecting the convention center to Arts Downtown and some of the ideas they have for public art in the convention center, but they know that we need the experts there. So I'll run y'all through next steps there at the
So who
subcommittee
gets the
meeting.
rest of the 1%?
That's it.
Oh.
That's
oh.
it. It's
Okay.
$500,000. We can fight for more.
No, I didn't know if the rest was, or if there were more of
Yeah.
it going to parks or something.
No.
That's good.
It's, yeah.
Impressive.
We have some really good allies on our side for this one. I want to go back to the trades for a minute. I really feel like the public art that we're going to do in the trades district is going to be a way to get a conversation about a 1% for the arts ordinance in place for private developers. I think we're going to model what public art can bring to that area, and I think knowing that the developers they want to bring into that district have a lot of money, shelling out a little for a piece of local artist's work or a mural or a developing artist gallery, they've got the money for it. We should push them. So I think this is going to be a good way to start that conversation. The last thing I'll say is, this is very new. I will send you all the details when they come in. There's going to be a Hopewell update on October 7th. That's just for the community. It's kind of like a press conference, and it's just to update folks on where we are with Hopewell. I think there's been, I think people just don't know what's going on, especially now that we've got the transition. We're seeing some work, and there's a huge part of Rogers closed off right now that's just making some folks' lives, either as business owners that live in that area or people who just commute that way, not easy. So the city's going to be just doing updates on infrastructure, but they're also going to do an update on the public art, which Christina will share as part of her public art report later in the meeting. So I will send you all details for that. It would be great if some of y'all could be there. It's October 7th at 6 p.m. You can also meet my parents because they're going to be in town. Okay, that's what I've got, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, I'm in town.
That's all good news.
Oh, it's at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
My flight's at 6:15. Okay, sorry.
No, we won't. There'll be a lot of angry people there.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions for Holly on the staff report, on the staff update? Okay. Excellent. Well, moving on to agenda item number 4, I'm happy to introduce Benjamin Reardon. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. He's the director of Reimagining Opera for Kids, and he's going to present today on the organization and how we might be able to, like, I guess just like think about supporting groups like this.
Lovely. All right. But first of all, thank you all so much for having me here. I can stand up. It makes it easier to see, and it feels kind of weird to sit back there. Hi, in the back. But yeah, so my name is Ben Reardon. I'm the executive director of Imagining Opera for Kids. It's my 9th year with the program, but my first year as director, which has been fun and exciting and terrifying, and all of those good things. But it has been a really good experience. So I'll talk a little bit about our organization. We were founded in 2007 by Kim Carballo. Our mission is to introduce kids to the arts through bringing opera to their schools and maybe fight some of those misconceptions about like what opera is, as we all know there's a few, as well as give performers a chance to develop their performance skills. We have a lot of students roll through as well as community members, and it's a really nice kind of laid back environment to do those things. We do a really good job of keeping everything very low stress. It's a really friendly environment, so it's a nice place to perform. When I joined right when I started my doctorate at Jacobs, and that can be very intense. And I look forward to the ROK stuff at the end of every week because it was like the one time you could lay back and just enjoy making art and sharing it in these ways. So it's really lovely to be able to do those sorts of things. The way we accomplish our tasks is we perform for kids all over the place. We perform at schools, libraries, community centers, festivals, all those good things as much as we can. We try to keep a very high performance volume. Historically, we've had seasons where we performed like in the 40s number of times throughout a season. And we managed that through having a big roster of performers. So once again, to go kind of historical, we used to have numbers like in the 20s and 30s, so we could rotate our casts. So like I had a season where I performed probably 20 or 30 times and did not perform with the same cast twice. We were always like plugging someone in, plugging somebody out. The nice thing about that is it keeps fatigue low. People can kind of come in and out as they're available. It really helps with that kind of relaxed environment, which I think really spreads to the kids. Like they know like we're having fun, they're having fun. It's just a really nice thing to be a part of, honestly. Let's see what else. So sort of where we're at now and moving forward with the organization, right? We are kind of in a rebuilding cycle right now, as with like a lot of nonprofits. I'm sure you've seen it all over the place. You know, we got hit hard too. Now, the nice thing is we kept performing during lockdown, which was a monumental feat, and I wish I could take credit, but I was just on the performance side then. It was our production manager then was a hero. I mean, she drove a green screen to every single person's house so we could perform in front of a green screen. We had like a little earpiece with a backing track.
That's
They
amazing.
clipped all the things together. We made like a little show, and then we sent it to kids who were remote learning, so they could see it. And then we would zoom in for like Q&As, because we always do Q&As at the end. It's important to be able to communicate with our audiences. And we did 2 seasons of that, which was challenging and different, but it was cool to still be able to get out there and be a part of everything. The downside to that we learned is we missed 2 recruitment cycles. So we were able to perform with a lot of people who weren't even in town anymore. Most of our people are from IU, although we do have community members involved. So that turnover rate can sneak up on you pretty quick. And in the last 3 years, we've had almost 100% turnover on our performance side. So it's been tricky to come back from that. Thankfully, this year has been like really positive so far. We've doubled our roster size from last year. We've already booked the same number of shows we had last year, and we're not even close to done getting stuff booked. So we are kind of back on track to get back to where we were, which is, I just got a phenomenal production manager and a great board, and everyone's just really kicking in and doing awesome work. So that's been really great. The reason we can do these things is because of support that we're getting from organizations like y'all. Like it is, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to word it. Like it's so important and helpful, and it means so much to us that like organizations like you guys got us through that. Like really helped us out when we needed it, and kept us going so we could get out there and get in front of kids and keep everything. I skipped that part. Keep everything free. It's really important to us that we don't have barriers between us and the populations we want to reach. So our shows do not cost kids a dime. We don't want anything getting in the way of them experiencing the arts. And you know, we survey schools after we perform there, and we found like, depending on the school, like 30 to 80% of our audiences are on like free or reduced lunch programs. You know, our kids who wouldn't be able to go access performance. So we get to bring it to them so they can still experience it and still get to be a part of the arts in that way. So yeah, that's what we're all about, and it's just been so lovely to be here and to be able to meet. You know, I met with Holly a couple times, and just to be a part of the Bloomington arts scene. You know, trying to become more in the community, and I think we've made some good pushes this year. Like we're gonna collaborate with like the BSO and Bridges Mayo and some things like that. So we're trying to be more present and with y'all more than we have been historically, and especially in the last like 4 years. So yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions about the organization, how we do business, anything at all. Yeah.
So does Jacobs or the IU provide you with any support? I mean, this is outreach, it's growing future audiences, it's pedagogy, it's doing all sorts of things. Historically,
they have. The faculty is hugely helpful when it comes to like our recruitment cycles and things like that. It's really nice, especially for like undergrads who are probably not going to get cast in anything, or like, you know, even incoming graduate students who didn't get cast in anything. It's like you don't have to miss having a named role on your resume. Like we got you. You know, we'll put you in front of audiences. You can perform for 1,000 people these next 2 weeks. They're little people, but they're people, right? And honestly, they're a more fun audience anyway. That's what I got addicted to. They're just so fun to perform for. They're there with you, you know, especially if you can get out and interact. So we've had a lot of support through them. We historically have practiced at Jacobs and stored a lot of our equipment at Jacobs. We sort of moved those off campus because of the MA renovations. So, things like that are kind
Financial support?
I don't know the history of that, honestly. I'm pretty sure they have historically. Nothing this year so far, but
Right, just
I'm
curious.
still getting my feet wet in this position. So.
Could you, I'm sorry,
No,
just
go ahead,
one
go ahead,
second.
go ahead.
Would you just describe what a session would be like?
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, standard regular performance for us is normally on a Friday. Usually morning or like right before the end of school. We'll go to a school. We will set up our show in the gym or like an auditorium or a cafeteria or a classroom. We've done them all. And it's always a different space and different size, so kind of negotiating that's is part of the fun. And then they'll bring whatever student body we're performing for in. We will have our cast, which depending on the show is between 4 to 6 people. We'll have instrumentalists. We will almost always have a pianist, but sometimes we'll have other instruments just sort of as we're able to recruit. We'll have a little pit. And then we'll put our show on for them. So we produce one show a season, so it'll be the same show all season for the most part. This year we're doing Aesop's Fables by Anthony Plogue, which we did 8 years ago. It's probably the most modern piece we do, but it's really charming. It's just like 5 little vignettes. Every scene's a different fable. And we really try to get as interactive as possible. It's a personal belief of mine that if you're doing like children's opera and outreach and you don't get into the audience, you have failed somewhere along the line. So we always try to get out into the audience or get them up on stage with us. We'll do our show, and then afterwards we introduce ourselves, the pit, and then we answer any questions they have. And we make sure they have their music teacher or whoever we've been coordinating with has our contact info. So if they have a question, they don't have a chance to ask it during the thing. It's important to us that we answer everything to get that communication going. So we make sure that we're available and accessible. And then we pack up and do it again the next week.
Thank you.
Couple of questions. First of all, I'm a trained opera singer, so I know this world, and I think what you do is remarkable. And I do want to add to your story by saying that this general sort of outreach is something that the major opera institutions do throughout the country, and there is a serious lack in this area except for what you do, right? Like there's, like the apprentice programs, etc. They do outreach to kids, and there's just, in this area of the country, there's nothing except for this. So I think it's really important what you're doing. Can you, to follow up on this question, reimagining, right? Do you adapt the operas for the kids? Do you just play them straight? Is it, why is it called reimagining?
Yeah, that's a lovely question. So this is maybe one of the coolest things about our organization, so I'm glad you asked. All of our shows are written or adapted specifically for us, and they're all new, with one exception. So Anthony Plogue's Fables, he wrote, I think, we're the first people to perform the kids opera version of it. I think it was I think it was originally a different kind of piece and it got adapted. I'm not 100% sure on the history there. Lauren Bernofsky, a local composer, has composed 2 of the shows we do, and part of a third. We have a show called The Lunchbox Project, which I think is maybe our best work conceptually, because each scene is some kid showing you what they have for lunch, but they're all from different cultures, and they're all different styles, and they're all written by a different composer. It's like such a cool concept. It's a really, really fun show. The one exception is, 2 exceptions, okay, I'm gonna go back. We do a magic flute, but it has, because we have a cycle of shows that we do, and the goal is that if we come back to the same school year on year on year on year, as we follow that student through, they will see a standard, they will see something modern, they will see something written, but so we try to get a nice variety of things so they can kind of get a bit of a education on just sort of the different things it can be as they go through. So we got to get the magic flute in there, obviously, but the version we do is written just for us. It's our own version of it. And then we also had an improv show, which I guess isn't really, I don't know where that fits, but it's basically just like backing tracks, and the kids get to like basically just pick whatever happens and we go, which is terrifying. They did that my first year with the program, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And then they finally talked me into it. Yeah, no, it was a blast. It was so fun. It's so joyful. So that is sort of how we're trying to reimagine it. We're showing new works, we're showing unique works, but we're also showing some of the old classics and trying to show all these different things that opera can be, as opposed to, you know, my opera education growing up was Looney Tunes, and then I saw an outreach group when I was in 5th grade, and that was it until my sister went to school and was in an opera, and I was like, oh wow, that's cool, you know. So this is trying to provide a much more rounded experience with that for people coming up in our area.
And the last thing I want to comment on is I believe the singers are unpaid,
Correct. Yes, we are mostly volunteer.
which is extraordinary, right? It's, I think it's it really shows the dedication and the mission-driven attitude, right? So the money that goes into supporting this goes into operational things, but it's not, you know, people putting money in their pockets.
Absolutely, yes. So our performers are all volunteers. All our costs are administrative and operational, right? So the scenery, all those good things. And it's fun too, because I think Kim said this like really early on, and I loved it, because she was like, this program self-selects like some of the most fun people you'll ever perform with, because it's the people who are willing to give up a Friday to go perform for some kids, and they are like year on year, like, and it's not on purpose. We just get some of the best, like, most fun people to perform with, and it's just always a delight. So and they're all volunteers, absolutely.
You're a good
Thank you.
spokesperson for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I've got a couple years on board, so I tried. Thank you.
Can I ask one last question? So one of our duties as BACers is just to kind of be an ambassador for different arts organizations in town. Is there anything that we can do for you to help spread the word, just in general?
Yeah, honestly, like that is one of the big things we're trying to tackle this year. For an organization that's been around as long as we have, our name recognition is not great. And we are trying to shift focus onto that this year and moving forward. But yeah, putting the good word out is always helpful. We are about to set our season, at least the first chunk of our season. So very soon our website will have an updated list of public performances on it. So, if you know people with kids, or you just want to come check the shows out, I mean, they're fun for all ages. When we did the 4th Street Festival show, I think there were like 10 kids in the audience, but we'd filled it up. It was mostly adults, and we still had a great time. So we're really good at kind of on the fly adapting to whatever audience we have. So it is just a joyful thing. So if you want to experience it, come check us out.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that was excellent. So a little bit of a change of pace. Both of our subcommittee chairs are absent today. So Christina is going to first give the public art update, and then is going to give the grants updates.
Awesome.
No. So-
Okay, so the subcommittee meeting has been rescheduled for September 26th at 9:30, and we will meet virtually. Regarding Hopewell, the Public Arts Subcommittee recommended John Rasick for the project, along with the selection committee. Holly has been in contact with him, and he has accepted the project. And so install is expected to begin in spring 2025.
Which one is
Hopewell.
Hopewell? Yeah, which
The
The
yellow
green?
undulating
Yeah, good.
serpent.
Good.
Yeah.
I like that one. Wasn't
Mhm.
sure.
Is there going to be a public announcement of this, or has there been? I haven't seen.
You heard it here first. At least next week or the following week.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk more about it at that October 7th event as well.
Great.
I'm gonna try to get him there, but we had, mayor's schedule comes first, so.
And then the Duke Substation mural. So we wrapped up community feedback. The artists were able to finish up the finishing touches on the design, And so now painting has begun, and we are having a community paint day on September 28th. I did want to stop here to plug in that we are looking for volunteers for this event to make it successful. And so I meant to send out the email actually today to everyone, but just be able to share the word and spread it to your networks to volunteer. You have to sign up to volunteer. We're not taking walk-ins. So make sure that you get the link.
I'm making a poster.
Awesome. Thank you.
That will be done.
Awesome. Thanks. So yeah, so that's exciting. The artists are very excited for this project as well. And then we are working on reopening the public art project grants on a rolling basis, and so we're aiming to open up those applications ASAP. So that's the public art network.
Any questions from
I know this is in our future, but is there any advancement on the gateway piece?
Oh, yes. So our amazing intern Drew is back, and he is working on the call for it right now. He had a fantastic afternoon at the Monroe County History Center last week doing research on the Miller Showers Park. And so we're working together just to craft that into a nice paragraph that we can include in the call. We're gonna review it together at our September meeting. I am hopeful. I'm one thing I'm really trying to be mindful of right now, and we'll talk more about this at the subcommittee meeting, is just the pace at which we're doing things. I just want to make sure we're doing it right, and I think we learned a lot from how we did the selection process during Hopewell, so I want to make sure we're just being thoughtful about how we're rolling that out. But I do feel like, I know when we started talking about this, we had a goal of being able to select the finalists by the end of January. I think it'll look more like February, just kind of considering all the holidays, and I don't want to put pressure on artists to try to propose things while they're like, trying to see their family, so, but I am feeling good about us being able to get some kind of call out in the world by the end of the year, so. Yeah.
Excellent. And the grants.
I know. Okay, all right, now we got to the grants. So operations grant notifications has been sent out to awardees, as well as declines, while the city waits for the MOUs to be moved through legal so funds can be dispersed. The artistic advancement grant application remains open until the 20th of this month. Please share through your personal socials and emails to friends and colleagues. And then the last comment was actually just a congrats to me and Chaz. So I'll just read it from what Lee wanted to say. So congrats to Christina and Chaz for organizing an excellent panel on grants at the Waldron last night. Attendance was large and engagement was impressive. This is truly a great indication that our community wants more of these kinds of meaningful gatherings. Thanks to Suzanne for participating as a panelist and offering insightful reflections from both sides of the application process.
And I will add, we only allowed for 30 based on the lecturer's needs. So we had 30 sign up. I opened it up to sort of a little wait list. So we actually had 34 sign up. However it worked out, some people couldn't make it, so we ended up having a full house of 30, whatever, or something like that.
We have
based
at
on it
least
all.
one walk-up.
And we had one walk-up who ended up being fine because
Yeah.
someone didn't show up. So anyway, yeah, we had a lot more people sign up. Like, we had a wait list. So it was great. So more than 30 people, I think, would have taken advantage of it. And I want to add, like, it was truly, really gratifying to hear very positive feedback from the attendees as well as the panelists. And they definitely do want more, and it's very exciting. They have ideas for what people want in the future for these to be. And it just ended up being one of those things that, like, when you listen to the artists in our community and give them what they want, that's a great recipe for success. So, anyway, that was just really great. And again, it was free for everyone, which was really cool to do. And we also did pay the panelists for their work, because we love to pay artists here at the city. Thanks to Holly. So anyway, if you ever want to come to one of these workshops and just audit, you can. In fact, I say now, please do.
So
Because-
was there a good demographic, a reasonable diversity of
That-
age and ability?
That could have been worked on. It wasn't, I don't think, the best. There was actually, my neighbor is Alexander Landerman, who's an IU printmaking professor, graphic design professor, and he shared it with his class. So we had probably out of the 30, like, oh my gosh, like 7 of his students take it.
Great.
Which was great, which was fine. But so that was, it was kind of skewed towards graphic design because of that. But they really appreciated it. But yeah, there wasn't just IU students. There was a couple older folks. So I don't know, Christina and Suzanne or Holly, if you want to comment more on that. But it could have been better, I think, and that is something to note.
I think it was a good first
Yeah, for the first one,
showing.
not bad.
Yeah, and I thought it was also an interesting range of folks who have applied and or received
yeah.
grants
Yeah.
before. And folks who was like, who are you? Thanks for coming. I think it was also like, I would say kind of like across the career spectrum. Some folks were like further along than others, or just to have a different type
Yeah,
of track
very much.
record, I think. So that was really excited too. And then I would say also across genre, we did have a lot of graphic designers, but we also had a writer and a filmmaker. We had glass makers. We at least had, I think we had at least two glass makers.
Two music world
yeah, a
people,
couple,
opera, singer.
And if y'all remember, there's one person who does dance calling.
Oh yeah.
Like they were there.
Oh, they were.
Yeah. So that was, and some of like our past emerging artist grant recipients who have
Yeah.
graduated, so who were in the MFA program when we awarded them funds,
Yeah.
but are now artists who have chosen to stay in Bloomington. So it was.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, I want to add, Suzanne, we kind of like partnered for the BAC breakout session. And it was a pretty good amount of people, so it was really nice being able to talk about the organization and things that we're doing, both from grants and public art side. So
Yeah,
it
that
great.
was nice. That was a very young crowd, except for one woman.
Mhm.
And I thought their questions were impressively specific.
Wow.
And helped. I found it helpful in terms of like maybe what we can do with the forms.
Awesome.
Right.
Okay.
And they translated it really well. Like, how do we know how much detail to put in this or that
Mhm.
question or whatever? And
Mhm.
Sweet.
and it was pointed out there's no word count limit, so there's no way for them to judge how much they should say.
Well, there should be. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Yeah,
That was
we
one,
should do that.
Yeah, that was one
Yeah.
point. But I thought the questions overall, both in the main
Mhm.
panel section and then in our individual section, were really good.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
thought my one-on-one, which actually ended up being 2-on-1 because her friend came.
Oh.
You know, that was also I thought that went well. Yeah, I thought it was overall, like you said, a great first
Dope,
time out.
yeah.
One person that I know, one of the two musicians, had no idea about this, and I told her about it.
Okay.
I don't think we reached the music
Okay.
crowd at all, and certainly not the
good to know.
not the art
Okay.
music crowd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt that was kind of fine with who signed up for it,
Mhm.
as well in a way. I think we have a lot of work to, like a lot of improvements to moving forward. That
Right.
and also just learned a lot. So I think like keeping those notes are
Right.
really good because
Yeah, no, they gave us really helpful feedback, I thought, across
Mhm.
topics.
yeah,
or
and that they
questions.
wanted this sort of thing. I think was really great to know, and
Right.
then the more specifics and how we can
Right.
plan it better and yeah, who we need to reach was kind of eye opening too,
Mhm.
and the partner and the great partners we have too with like Alexander Landerman, who's people mentors like that who are helping take advantage of these things, and it made me think
Right.
like should we do just one for his class sometime? So like how do we? I don't know. I just had a bunch of ideas, too many ideas, but.
Mhm.
And Christina was a panelist as well as helped me organize it, so gosh, good job for that. And as a reminder, we had Ursula Kuhar. I cannot remember. she's an IU arts admin professor who did a 30-minute lecture, and one Amy O, who runs Girls Rock Bloomington and is a musician herself, said that was really great because she always thinks, should I get my arts admin degree, but I don't know, not a perfect fit for her maybe. And then someone like, she said the professional development of this was great because usually Ursula is just for, right, master's students, but she got to hear from her directly through that. So I forget exactly what she said. I'm not being eloquent today at all or ever, but anyway, that was just great to know that we are kind of breaking outside of the IU cycle and kind of giving that resource to non-IU people. And then we did a panel discussion with everyone and the breakout sessions and one-on-one reviews. We did a lot.
But I thought it was really efficiently run, like you kept it moving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
See?
that was good.
Yeah. And it went by fast. It wasn't like exhausting
Yeah, it was 2
for the amount
hours.
of time it
That
was.
felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah. It went really fast.
And the Waldron's a great place to do that. I think Sarah, the gallery manager, said we can continue to do them there, which is nice, because I think it was really perfect for that.
Especially the one-on-ones, because it was like corners people could go to and rooms where they could close the door and have those conversations without, because it's super awkward if other people hear you.
Yeah.
Well, your grant proposal is kind of terrible. You know, like, you don't want people to hear that.
Yeah.
Or, you can't be as honest or
Yeah.
direct, you know?
Oh, one more thing I want to add about the workshop, that we have 50 people so far who have made applications for the Artistic Advancement Grant. So that's, having 90 is great, but also all those people won't get funded. So 50 is still a lot, but I just want to give you an update on the people. And this is not people who maybe will fully submit, but anyway, we have about 50 people in there, so.
What about 10 more days, 9 more days?
Yeah.
9 more days.
Let's push it. Let's push it. Let's push it.
Not saying don't.
Sorry, Grants Commission
Yeah.
Committee.
I'm not saying don't send it, I just want to give you an update on the numbers there.
Yeah.
It's a little lower than usual, which we found this year, but I think we were saying it's kind of a good thing in a way because people are leveling up and not just writing bad grant proposals, but really good ones. So anyway, just an update on that.
Excellent. Any more? What was that the end of the grant report?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions for our grant chair surrogate?
Can I add one thing? I noticed when I was looking at my calendar that the next grant subcommittee meeting right now is scheduled for next Friday, the 20th. And I don't know if that works or not. So we'll ask the grants subcommittee chair to follow up about that. So, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Christina, for
Yeah,
for giving
thank you
both of those reports. All right, moving on to agenda item number 7. So, voting on new bylaw language. I'm going to throw this over to Holly because Holly can talk in more detail sort of about what's being asked and by whom and why. But basically, there is a section of, I think it's the city code.
It's the municipal code
Yeah.
that means we exist.
Muni-
It gives us
muni-
authority.
Municipal code.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that includes some short but important information about the Bloomington Arts Commission, and we've been asked to update it. And Holly, maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
What
So we've been talking about this for a few months now. So basically, so the legal portion of the Office of City Council reached out to us and was like, hey, we're just run-of-the-mill asking every commission, do you have any changes you'd like to make to your municipal code? And I took a look at it initially and was like, oh my gosh, it says that we're supposed to make an annual city public art plan. We're not. No, we're not gonna, that's not how we're gonna use our time. So I was like, let's look at this. And so I think we looked, so basically what this kind of breaks down into is why we exist, like what our purpose is, and then it is a further breakdown of what our real duties are. And so I think we all took a look at this together several months ago at this point, and you gave us an initial round of feedback, and then Paul reached out to Gerard and me with some really insightful suggestions. So the three of us met and had a conversation, and based on our conversation, I integrated we just updated the language basically. So if you look at this document, basically what you see is the language on the lower half of the document is what it has been up to this point, and at the top is what you see that we've recommended. So basically what we've done is that first paragraph, public policy and purpose, we didn't really make changes to that. Our mission is our mission, and we agreed that that embodies why art is important in Bloomington. But what we have included now is stating a few specific things that we do to manifest that mission. And when we thought about kind of editing these bylaws, we wanted to say things succinctly, but we also wanted to give ourselves flexibility. So for example, supporting local artists and artist groups, yes, we want to do that, but we also want to leave space for us to be able to do that in many different ways without defining different programs that we might be doing that are going to lock us in. And if we shift focus in 2 years, we would have to go through this process again. We don't necessarily want to do that. Also engaging Bloomington residents in the arts. So this is just being ambassadors for the work that you learn about here, for the work that we're doing. And then facilitating connections between City of Bloomington staff, artists, and artist groups. Again, this is just making sure that the folks that you are meeting out in the world as a commissioner know what resources exist for them that are provided by the city, and connecting them with me if that's what needs to happen. So that's what we did for that first half. And then powers and duties. The things we found there were, we thought a couple of them were kind of repetitive, especially when it came to things like communication and ambassadorship. So we combined a couple of them. But then what we also did again is we took out like references to specific programs that we're working on. Just again, so if we say 1 year we're going to focus on revitalizing our version of the public art master plan, we can do that, but we don't have to change the code if we say, and we're happy with this now, and now we're going to shift to doing something like that's grant related, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why you're seeing those changes. I'm going to stop talking and see if y'all have questions.
I got a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I'm throwing a wrench into the works.
Go
here.
for it, because I've got one to throw in before we approve this.
Okay. Well, the emphasis is on the community's participation in the arts, mm-hmm. and it shows up in several sort of voices. Mm-hmm. I've observed, let's take Hopewell, for example, and the upcoming Gateway project, that in a way, we are curating the acquisition mm-hmm. of artists to put art into our city, mm-hmm. not necessarily local artists. Mm-hmm. And so this reads very local to me. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, I don't see, when I look up top, the conservation and development of the city's artistic resources, is that our artistic inventory? Or, you know, I don't see anything in here about art pieces and how they get there. Mm-hmm. So that's just from observing what we have done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the public art piece at the Duke Walls. Yeah. Yes, that's full it's full participation of community members. But I think there's also a level where we're asking the community to engage mm-hmm. arts. And that might be works coming in from outside. the artist that came from Chicago, who made a presentation. It's not local,
Mhm.
so
Okay, this is good. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So what I'm hearing is where we could maybe do a little more work is defining specifically what we mean by resources. And also calling out specifically that part of what we do is public art works. We don't have to say we make a public art plan, but one thing we do is engage with the community to commission new works of public art. Could we say by local, regional, and national artists?
yes.
Would that
think
kind
that
of?
would do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're now talking about the actual art
Mhm.
instead of the process.
Right, right. Okay. Any thoughts, questions,
So would that go-
pushback
Well,
on
I'm
that?
thinking, like, that would go in the, not in the section F, but in that,
Mhm.
like, in that four, like that, like, supporting local artists and artist groups, like,
Mhm.
what Rob's proposing would go in that section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Cool, okay.
I think one thing to keep in mind is that so far we've been talking about objects, tangible, painting, sculpture, whatever. And it's going to be, just want to be careful when things are worded that it includes performing arts
Yeah.
as an example.
Which is my background.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Spin. Okay.
Expressive arts. I mean, there's lots of ways to,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a minute to make sure I got that
Yeah.
down, cause.
this is a couple, there's an installation,
Mhm.
but there's also an event,
Right.
you know.
So engage with the community to commission, okay. Okay.
With a little bit,
I was in.
a small thing related to what you were saying, Holly, about not including specific things that would seem to burden us in a way, is maybe leaving out the examples of strategic planning projects in number 3. So where there is a reference to the 5-year strategic plan and so on, so.
Yes, okay. Yeah, because we might, yeah. I think that's great.
That number 3 is a bear to read anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd be glad to,
Yeah, to cut it out.
read with again or slice away at it, whatever you would like, but. But certainly this is better than what existed before. More accurately represents what we do now.
Okay, other
One
thoughts?
suggestion, to address the question of local, regional, national,
Mhm.
international, as well as across the span of arts. Perhaps number 2 here,
Mhm.
engaging Bloomington residents in the arts across genres and on local or regional, national or international levels or something. I mean,
Okay.
bring the arts to Bloomington and bring Bloomington
Yeah.
to the world kind of thing.
Great. Okay.
I think one thing that came out, and it's sort of in this, is that what is our role when we look at Hopewell?
Mhm.
Ultimately, we are not a selection committee. We are an advisory to you.
Right, yeah, yes.
And it's, you know, it's a bit loosey-goosey with
Yeah.
the offer recommendations and advice.
I wonder though whether that isn't okay, because under different circumstances, that could take a much different shape. If we think about Hopewell, it had one particular shape, but in other instances, it might entirely different.
I think hierarchically, though, we don't make decisions. We make recommendations to Holly.
Except the grants are all decisions that we make.
That's true.
Those are actually still recommendations.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, that I take. I
Wholeheartedly.
yes. Okay, policy recommendations. I just wanna make sure, Rob, I'm looking at the right thing. Is it the last?
Well, I don't know. I was looking at item number
phrase at
3.
Okay.
And I
offer
just happened to
policy,
see the term recommendations and advice, but,
Advice.
you know, our commission,
and,
right,
mhm.
purpose
Yeah,
is to make recommendations and
Right.
advice to the administrator.
yeah, I would say too. I wanna add there too, because I think so, for example, for, Hopewell, you were making a recommendation to me, which then I took to the entity that the city empowers to pay for the project. So it could be, but grants, on the other hand, that ends with me. So maybe if we just say to city administration and other boards and commissions as
Sure.
necessary, but something,
But we are an
Succinct.
advisory group,
yeah.
yeah.
Damn, we can't just decide what it'll be.
Well, I remember at the
Power.
meeting that we had over at an art store,
Yeah.
this fellow came in and was talking about a number of ways of why isn't the public making this selection.
Right.
You wisely, and I hope we can go in the direction is we're actually hiring somebody.
Right.
And that, of course we want public involved,
Mhm.
but I think there is some curating that we can do.
Okay. So
So based on those changes, I propose we accept it? No?
we've got.
We got another inch of the smoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I realize, I'm looking at this, we have about 8 more minutes left of this meeting, so
Oh,
I think we
crap. Okay.
do need to move kind of quickly.
Can I,
through this.
can I make a counter recommendation? Yesterday, I got an email from Isabel Piedmont Smith, who is one of our council members, and she is also the chair of the municipal board subcommittee of the council. And she wrote me, and she was like, hey, we've got a couple of changes we'd like to recommend for this. And I was like, dang it! So a couple of them are really easy and I think very easily incorporated. They also have a very long-winded statement about our work in equity and inclusion. And Gerard and I reviewed that language together today, and we agreed that we have done so much work, and I know a lot as we've written grant applications and grant report forms to make sure that we are both genuinely showing our commitment to diversity and inclusion and accessibility, but also making sure that the folks we are giving funds to manifest it and just don't copy and paste a DEAI statement from the internet into their application. So because we have spent so much work crafting that language, we think that we need to take a closer look at what they've suggested for us. So what I would recommend, based on these suggestions and these other suggestions that we've just received, I can take these changes and this subcommittee's changes, throw them all into one document, take one more look at it and approve it at our October meeting. We were asked by Isabel to give them feedback by the end of October, so we've got time to do this. And I don't know why they're looking at this now. Again, it might just be this is the kind of thing that happens. We've got a very new council. They're very ambitious about a few things. This might just be a manifestation of that, but I'm happy to consider it, and it probably is worthwhile for us to put something about DEAI in the statement. And this, again, might just be a great opportunity for us to invite Isabel to come hang out with us. So.
Yeah, I'm very liberal-hearted, right? But sometimes an art piece is challenging,
Yep.
deliberately so.
Yes.
Which does not necessarily foster inclusion, it fosters conversation.
Yes.
And so I hope we're not asking every grant recipient to, okay, good. This is a
No.
general statement.
No.
All right,
Yes,
good, good.
yes.
Just wanna-
Yes. I don't know what we're doing if we're not challenging. That's,
Yeah, right.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I do fear that sometimes it comes across as if inclusion means you must include everyone in everything you do,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
impossible.
Yes.
Yeah. And it reduces the ability to specialize or to, not everybody's gonna love opera, right?
No.
Not everybody's gonna love visual arts or hip hop, right? And that, so yeah, I take your point.
Well, yeah, I appreciate all of the thoughtful feedback into these, into the bylaw language.
Yeah, thank you.
I will incorporate multiple sets of changes. And, yeah, and we'll look to hopefully wrap this up at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8 from your chair. I don't have a lot today other than a reminder that we have a social hour after the meeting today. Hope to see you all there. We will be at Brew Burger, which is on 3rd Street. It's in that new set of like
Oh, where
apartments.
is it?
At Brew Burger.
Oh, I thought it was at social.
I think we moved.
No, we moved.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
don't have a big enough space.
Yeah.
Bloomberg.
Yeah, it's off of Grand Street and,
It's off of Grant and 3rd.
It's in a new,
Some
New
building.
development, yeah.
Like a new apartment
It's an
building.
apartment, yeah.
On a corner, which makes it easy to spot.
Yeah.
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 I hear their
And we're
burgers
sitting
are
on the
fantastic.
patio.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Okay. So before we go, I want somebody to tell me again, because I got it dry.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just to
I can
note
look it
that, I
up.
mean, as I think we've laid out in our grants and public art committee reports and from our city reports as well, we have a busy end of year and a busy year ahead. So between that and then I think also, as I noted in our last meeting, kind of starting to think strategically about the next, couple years, and doing some goal setting and just kind of some, just planning and structuring of things. It's going to be a busy year, as it always is. Art never sleeps, as I like to say. So yeah, that's it from your chair. Agenda item number 9, upcoming events and important dates. Thank you. Oh yes. So
Why, yes, it
this
should.
this
I
weekend,
love
ton of stuff going on. There's Pride, which is listed there. There's also the Blackie Brown Festival. There is also, and this is like sort of arts adjacent in that there's a Busman's Holiday performance and a concert there. But on Sunday, the Friends of Lake Monroe, which is like an advocacy group for Friends of Lake Monroe, they're doing a sort of like concert, dinner, fundraiser kind of thing out at like, I think it's called like the Clubhouse, which is like out by the lake. Yeah. So yep, there'll be a concert there, and it's pretty casual and informal, but a fundraiser for efforts to sort of like support the lake. And then another First Thursdays is coming around the corner. So
We should point out that Pride and Blackie Brown do not fully overlap, so you can go to
Yeah,
both.
Pride is all day.
Right, Pride starts at 2, and Blackie Brown ends at 3, so.
yeah.
I think it's 2 to 8.
Plenty
or
to-
at least the booths are 2 to 8.
Yeah.
I don't know about the events go later.
Usually goes
Yeah.
later, yeah.
Also, the Blackie Brown Festival is an art market in the pavilion at Switchyard from like
I think it's 10
10
to 2, 10 to 12.
No, it's 10 to 12.
Yeah, and then
And then
performances.
12:30 starts at, and the performances are at 12:30. So, just so you know.
Awesome.
I'm gonna just reemphasize Community Paint Day for the Duke mural on
yeah.
Saturday, September 28th.
Yes.
And then there's a celebration for the Duke mural the night before, which I think we're all invited to. We're invited.
That's
Duke is
11.
sponsoring it.
You
That's
should
an
get
11.
Duke to get a
11
grant
to
for me
11.
to light it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, agenda item number 10, any commissioner announcements for the group?
I have two. I don't think they go on here necessarily, but first of all, this Sunday is the first Bloomington Bach Cantata Project performance of the season. It's at 2:30 at St. Thomas Church, which is on 3rd and Smith, which is where it always is, and it will be great. The second announcement is one of my favorite authors of my lifetime, Elijah Wald, who I worked with on a number of book projects, is coming to Bloomington when I'm not here for a house concert. He's doing a tour, a book tour, but also house concerts, and that is on the 22nd of September. It's a Saturday at 7:30. Requested donate or suggested donation $15. He is a blues musician, has toured the world doing that. He has written numerous books as well as he's a kind of a big time trade author. I worked with him on How the Beatles Destroyed Rock and Roll, which is it's like the history of dance music essentially. Yeah, it's great. And he's written on Robert Johnson, Narco Corrido. He does a lot of Latin American work. This book that he's touring right now is from Hachette, which is a major trade house, and it's on Jelly Roll Morton, and basically dirty language. It's censored lyrics from Jelly Roll Morton. Yeah, so don't bring your children. But it's a combo event of him playing and also this, and he's crazy. He makes his own shirts.
Remind me what the date of that is?
22nd of September. It's a Saturday.
Okay.
And I can send anyone interested. I can forward the information because it's at Marge Steiner's house, which means not a lot to most of the people here.
So is this a reading or a?
It's a concert, and then he'll talk about the book.
So he's
too.
playing blues?
Yeah.
I'm a blues fan.
Oh, good. I'll send you that info. Linda Handelsman sent around an invite to her house concert crowd. So I'll forward that again.
Yeah, please do.
I will.
I have two announcements. Another book thing.
Yes.
One of my favorite authors in the world, Hanif Abdurraqib, is speaking as part of the new Bloomington Book Festival that folks, I think primarily based in Morgenstern's, are putting together from
Okay.
it's like from October 29th through November 1st, I believe. And so Hanif, I call him Hanif, my BFF. He published earlier this year a book called There's Always Next Year, which is a book about high school and college and pro basketball teams in Columbus, Ohio. That's where he's from. And so he kind of integrates just the history of these basketball leagues with his personal history growing up in Columbus, but he is also he's also a phenomenal poet, and he's also a phenomenal music critic, and so he kind of weaves all of these things together to tell this beautiful story. I'm having a little trouble getting through this book because I'm not a basketball person, but the book that he wrote before this that resulted in him getting a MacArthur Genius Award was called Little Devil in America, and it's a history of Black performance in the U.S. And again, it is also told through the eyes of his experience growing up as a Black Muslim in Columbus, Ohio. It's an incredibly moving book, and each chapter is also just devoted to this crazy unknown history of a Black performer.
When did he grow up?
He grew up. He's a few years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
so
in the
so in the 80s, 90s,
Okay.
aughts, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's pretty fabulous. Oh, and for the Bloomington Book Festival event he's coming to, he's going to be in conversation with Ross Gay because they're best buds.
Okay.
So yeah, that should be really good. And it's at the Mill, but there you go. And the last, this is just an opera announcement, and I'm really proud of myself.
Congratulations.
I convinced 3 members of Constellation Stage and Screen to come to the November opera with me. So I am just getting new people who don't like arts as much as I don't like musical theater to the MAC, and I'm very excited. So
That is a partnership with the Metropolitan Opera. It's a world premiere.
No, but who did you nab?
The creative director, the artistic director,
Okay.
and one of the actors. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So
Well done.
I'm really excited. And they're doing, this is a production in tandem with the Metropolitan Opera, and it's, they're doing a book by Michael Chabon, who's a pretty well-known, he's won some stuff. I don't read The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, I believe is what the book is called. And this book won many awards. He also wrote Mysteries of Pittsburgh, which is probably his most well-known novel, but yeah.
Any other
For the good
announcements?
for the good of the group, there's not parking right by Blue Burger, and there's a parking lot about a block west of there.
Okay.
There's-
So is
you
it
can
one of
go
those
see parking.
houses that's on,
No.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like the
No,
yellow
what
house
is
where
it?
Yats used to be?
No,
actual
no, it's a
restaurant.
development.
Okay, it's the big building,
Yeah.
right.
I'll adjourn the meeting and then we can talk logistics if that's
Okay,
okay.
cool, yeah.
Any other announcements? Any other public comment?
There's no one
Ben, you got anything else for us? You are the public, so yeah. All right, excellent. Okay, well, I will go ahead and motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second? Thank you, Mia. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Wow, packed meeting.